I wasn't supposed to be home until Thursday. My flight from Ottawa got rerouted through Montreal, some kind of mechanical issue, and by the time I landed at Pearson it was barely 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. I texted my fiancée from the arrivals terminal. No answer. I figured she was in the middle of a client call. She did freelance interior design, and her Tuesday afternoons were usually slammed. I grabbed my carry-on, took the UP Express to Union, walked 3 blocks east to our condo building in the Distillery District. We'd bought the unit 2 years ago. It was hers as much as mine. The building code, the parking spot, the weekend farmers market we always hit together on Saturday mornings, all of it was ours. I punched in the lobby code, rode the elevator to the 14th floor, slid my key into the door. The condo was quiet, too quiet. And then I heard something from the bedroom, and my body understood before my brain caught up. I stood in the hallway for what felt like a long time. It was probably 10 seconds. I was listening. And I was telling myself I was wrong. That sound carried strangely in these old converted buildings. That there was an explanation I hadn't thought of. I walked to the bedroom. The door was half open. I pushed it the rest of the way. My fiancé, and my best friend. The man who'd been by my side since we were 11 years old playing house league hockey in Scarborough. The man I'd asked to be my best man at the wedding we had planned for April. The man whose family had come to our Thanksgiving dinner for 15 years running. They heard me. There was a single, horrible second where neither of them moved. Then everything happened at once. She pulled the sheet up. He scrambled for his clothes. She said my name. He started to stand. I said nothing. So. I looked at both of them, and I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not heartbreak. Something quieter and far more permanent, like a door closing. You have 15 minutes, I said to her. My voice came out flat. Take what you need for a few days. I'll have the rest packed and ready for you by end of week. She started crying immediately. Please let me explain. This wasn't 14 minutes. He was pulling on his shirt. Man. Hey, look at me, please. I know what this looks like. I didn't look at him. I turned, walked to the kitchen, and stood at the counter. I could hear them in the bedroom, her crying, him whispering, the sounds of hurried movement. I looked out the window at the lake. It was gray today, the way it gets in October when the tourist season has packed up and gone. I didn't feel rage. I want to be clear about that, because I think people expect rage. What I felt was something closer to completion. Like I had just been handed the final piece of information I needed to understand something I should have understood a long time ago. 13 minutes later, she came out of the bedroom dragging a wheeled bag, and carrying her winter coat over one arm. Her eyes were red. He was behind her. Dressed now, looking like he wanted to disappear through the floor. She stopped in the hallway. I love you. I know that sounds insane right now, but I do. I made a terrible. Leave the key on the counter. She stood there for a moment, then her hand went to her key ring. She unhooked my spare key, set it on the granite. Her hand was shaking. He stepped forward. We need to get out. He held my gaze for another second. Then he walked past me. She followed. I heard the front door close. I heard the elevator ding down the hall. I stood at the window for a while longer. Then I picked up my phone and called a locksmith. That evening, I checked into a hotel on King Street. Not because I couldn't stay in the condo. The locksmith came and went by 6. But because I didn't want to sleep in that room. Not yet. I ordered room service and sat on the bed watching the news with the sound off and let my phone ring. Her name appeared on the screen, 11 times that evening. I watched it ring each time. I didn't answer, I didn't block it either. I wanted her to see that I was choosing not to pick up. His name appeared twice. I had even less interest in that. I opened my laptop, found the wedding venue's cancellation policy, and sent an inquiry email. Then I messaged the caterer, the photographer and the florist. I'd paid deposits on all of them. Some I'd get back. Some I wouldn't. It didn't matter. I turned off the light at 9:30 and lay in the dark. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was just still the way water goes still when you stop throwing things into it. My phone rang at 7 the next morning. My mom. I've been trying to reach you, she said when I answered. He called us last night. He's a mess. The he she meant wasn't me. I'm fine, by the way, I said. Of course you're not fine. That's why I'm calling. Sweetheart, I know how much this hurts, but he has been part of this family since you were children. You've known him for more than 20 years. I'm aware. He made a terrible mistake. He knows that. Did he tell you what the mistake was specifically? Or did he just say mistake and let you fill in the blanks? Silence. He told us, she said, quieter now. Then you know it wasn't a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. A mistake is double booking a dinner reservation. What he did was a choice. What she did was a choice. They both made it in my bed. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then, "Your father wants to talk to you. Tell him I'll call him when I'm ready." I hung up. My dad called 20 minutes later anyway. "He's not a man who does waiting. This family has enough going on without you going silent on everyone," he said. That was his opening. No hello. "I'm not going silent. I'm talking to you right now. You know what I mean." "I do. And I'd like you to explain something to me. If someone did this to you, if someone you trusted completely did what he did, what would you want your father to say to you the morning after?" He was quiet for a beat. "That's different." "It's not. He's been like a second son to us." "Then you have a son. You don't need me." I ended the call. My phone lit up again almost immediately, my sister this time. I let it go to voicemail. "Call me back. You're being dramatic. He feels awful. She feels awful. Everyone feels awful. The only person who seems fine is you. And that's actually the most worrying part." I deleted it without replying. My sister had known my fiancé for 3 years. They went to the same spin class. She'd helped plan the engagement party. I understood why she was upset. What I didn't understand, what I had no interest in figuring out, was why her solution was to manage my reaction, rather than hold the people who caused it accountable. I went back to the condo that afternoon, packed her remaining things into boxes, arranged them by the door, ordered new bedding, new pillows, dragged the mattress to the freight elevator and left it by the recycling bins. A new one was coming Thursday. She texted while I was doing it. "Can we talk? Just talk. I need you to know that this was not a pattern. It wasn't some ongoing thing. It happened once and it was the worst decision I've ever made." I read it. I didn't reply. I blocked her number, deleted the thread, and then formally canceled the wedding. The venue refunded 50%. The caterer kept their deposit. The photographer was understanding and gave me a credit I'd never use. The florist said, "I'm so sorry, honey," in a way that felt genuine, and I almost replied something honest, but I didn't. He texted me that night. "I know you probably never want to hear from me again, and I understand that. I just need you to know I'm sorry. I've been sitting here for hours, and I don't know how I let this happen." I read it, left it on read. Didn't block him. I wanted him to see the 2 blue ticks. I wanted him to know I saw it and decided it wasn't worth a reply. That was a choice too. 3 weeks passed. My mom texted every few days. My dad called twice more. My sister oscillated between sympathetic and frustrated, landing mostly on frustrated. The family group chat, which had existed for years, as a place we exchanged memes and photos of my nephew's hockey games, became a place where everyone talked around the obvious thing, without ever naming it directly. "Has anyone heard from him?" My sister would write. My mom would say, "He called briefly, he seems okay." My dad would say, "Give him space." And then they'd all go back to posting links and pictures of the dog. I read everything. I didn't post anything. I wanted them to know I was there, and choosing not to participate. The call I'd been half expecting came on a Sunday evening in late October. My mom. Again. "We're doing Thanksgiving," she said. "Your aunt and uncle are coming down from Barrie. Your father's doing the turkey. We want everyone together." "Okay," I said. "We want you there." "I'll think about it." "He'll be there," she said, carefully, like she was placing something fragile on a glass shelf. "He's been coming to our Thanksgiving for 15 years. I can't ask him not to come." There it was. I was quiet for a moment. I could feel her waiting on the other end, hoping I'd say it was fine, hoping I'd make it easy. "I'll be there," I said. "Really?" The relief in her voice was immediate. "Yeah. What time?" 6 o'clock. "Come for 4 if you want to help with the potatoes." "I'll be there at 6. "Oh, thank goodness. We've all been so." "I'll see you Sunday, Mom." I hung up, set the phone down on the coffee table, looked at the ceiling. I wasn't going for a reconciliation. I wasn't going because I'd softened. I was going because I needed to see it clearly. Who they were, what they'd chosen, with no ambiguity left. Sometimes you need to be in the room for the truth to finish arriving. They had no idea what was actually coming. The Sunday drive out to Mississauga was gray and cold. Highway flanked by bare trees. I pulled up to my parents' house at 6 on the dot. His car and my sister's minivan were already in the driveway. I sat in my car for a minute, looked at the lit windows, the warm glow of the kitchen. I used to love coming home to this house. I got out, walked to the door, didn't knock. I never knocked growing up, and I wasn't about to start now. The kitchen smelled like my dad's gravy and fresh bread. My mom met me before I'd even gotten my coat off. She hugged me tightly and for a moment she felt exactly like my mom. And that was the hardest part of the whole evening. My nephew ran over from the living room and grabbed my leg. I picked him up and he told me about a goal he scored on Saturday. And I listened to every word. And then my best friend stood up, from the armchair by the fireplace. He looked like he hadn't slept properly in 3 weeks. Dark circles, weight coming off his face. He was wearing a sweater I'd seen 100 times. "Hey," he said. I turned back to my nephew. "Tell me again about the defenseman. Did he actually trip?" The evening moved like that. My mom kept filling silence with food and questions about work. My dad grilled me about the Leafs. Because my dad grills everyone about the Leafs. It's one of his few constants. My sister watched me the way you watch a pot you're afraid is about to boil. He sat directly across the table. He tried twice during dinner. The first time, he said my name and began. "I want you to know that I've been thinking." And I turned to my uncle on my left, and asked about his renovation in Barrie, and kept that conversation going for 7 minutes. The second time he put his fork down, and the table went quiet and he said, "I owe you an apology, a real one. Not in a text. To your face." I looked at him. For 5 full seconds I held his gaze. I watched the hope come into his face. Because I know that face. I've known that face for 20 years. And I know exactly what it looks like when he thinks he's breaking through. I reached across the table. "Could you pass the cranberry sauce?" My sister made a sound. My mom went very still. "This is ridiculous," my sister said. "He's right there, you can hear him." "He's right there," I agreed. "And so is the cranberry sauce." "You're being cruel." "He slept with my fiancée." "He knows that. He's sorry." "The cranberry sauce, please." My dad set down his fork. "All right, that's enough." I looked at him. "Of what?" "Of this. Of the silent treatment. You're 32 years old. You can sit at a table and have a conversation like an adult." "I'm at the table," I said. "I'm having a conversation. I'm asking someone to pass the cranberry sauce." "You know exactly what I mean." "I do," I said. "And I know what you mean when you invite the man who was in my bed with my fiancée to Thanksgiving dinner. And act like I'm the one causing a problem by being here." The table went quiet, in a way that felt permanent. "We didn't mean it that way," my mom started. "You invited him, knowing I'd be here, knowing what he did." I set my napkin on the table. "I came here tonight to confirm something, and I have." "Confirm what?" my dad asked. I looked around the table. My mom eyes already wet. My dad jaw set. My sister, frustrated in a way I recognized as fear. My aunt and uncle doing their best to look invisible. My nephew too young to track any of it, thankfully. And him. "That you chose who to protect," I said. "And it wasn't me." "That's not what happened," my mom said. "You invited him. You asked me to sit at this table with him. Every phone call, you called what he did a mistake. Over and over a mistake, as if it happened to him, as if he didn't walk into my home and make a deliberate choice." I stood up. "I'm not angry at you for loving him. I understand that. What I don't understand is, thinking you could love him and love me the same way. As if those two things still fit in the same room." He stood up too. "Don't do this." "I'm not doing anything," I said. "I'm leaving dinner." Which is what people do when they're done eating. I got my coat from the front closet. My mom followed me into the hallway. She held my arm and I let her. "Please," she said, "please don't cut us out. You're my son." I looked at her. I meant what I said next. I wasn't being cruel. I was just being honest. "I know, Mom, I know I am, and I needed you to choose me. Just once. Just this one time." I walked out. Sen. I drove home in silence. My phone started ringing before I'd turned off their street. I let the calls stack. My mom, my sister, my dad, him. 21 calls by the time I pulled into my parking garage. I went upstairs, made tea, sat at the kitchen table, and read through the texts. My dad. "You humiliated him in front of the whole family. That wasn't right." My sister. "I don't know who you are anymore. This isn't you." My mom. "Please call me. I love you. We can fix this." Him. I'm sorry, please. Just say something." I put my phone down, drank my tea, sat with the quiet. The next morning I blocked my dad's number. Then my mom's, then my sister's. I removed myself from the family group chat. I went through my contacts and blocked every family account. My aunt and uncle in Barrie, my cousins. The family friends who'd been in the background of my life for 30 years. I was methodical about it, not emotional. I worked through the list. I sent one final message to a group thread I created with my parents and my sister. "This is the last message I'll send from this number. I want you to understand something clearly. I didn't cut you off because I stopped loving you. I cut you off because I needed you to choose me, and you didn't. Every phone call, every dinner invitation, every time you called what happened a mistake. You were telling me who mattered more. I heard you. I'm responding accordingly. Don't contact me." I sent it. The next morning I went to my carrier and changed my number. The weeks that followed were quieter than I expected. I worked. I cooked. I started running again, something I hadn't done since my articling year. I found a therapist. Not because I was falling apart, but because I'm a practical person, and I had a lot to process, and I wasn't willing to process it badly. I heard things through mutual acquaintances. I didn't seek any of it out, it just came, the way small city news always does. She moved back to Montreal, where she was originally from. As far as I know, she wanted nothing more to do with him. After everything collapsed. He, apparently, could not accept that. He convinced himself that if they were together, it would mean something. That the wreckage wouldn't have been pointless. He kept showing up. She eventually applied for a peace bond. The whole situation came apart under its own weight. The way it deserved to. My parents were arguing. Not just about me. About the decisions they'd made, the calls they'd taken, whether they'd handled everything wrong from the start. My sister stopped speaking to him once she understood the full picture of what happened in the months after I cut contact. She texted me once through a mutual friend to say she was sorry. I had the friend pass back that I appreciated it, but I wasn't ready. I didn't feel vindicated hearing any of it. I'd expected to feel something. Dark satisfaction, at least. Instead, I felt the same quiet I'd been carrying since October. Like a room where a noise you've lived with so long you stop noticing it is finally gone. 4 months after that Thanksgiving dinner, my firm offered me a position at the Vancouver office. I said yes, before they finished outlining the package. I packed up the condo over a long weekend, hired movers and drove west. I stopped in Banff for 3 days because I'd always meant to and never had. I hiked trails above Lake Louise in early February and borrowed snowshoes. I was terrible at using and I didn't care at all. I stood at the edge of that frozen lake in the silence of the mountains and I felt, for the first time in months, like I was actually breathing. In Vancouver I found an apartment in Kitsilano with a view of the water. I joined a run club, I learned to paddleboard badly then less badly. I made friends slowly. The way you do when you're not performing anything for anyone. One afternoon on the seawall I met a woman. She was walking her neighbor's dog, a ridgeback the size of a small horse, and she explained this immediately and defensively, unprompted, because the dog was clearly not listening to anything she said. We talked for 40 minutes while the dog tried to eat a pine cone. We got coffee the following week, then dinner. Nothing rushed, nothing reckless, something careful and honest, which was exactly the pace I had the capacity for. My mom sent a card to my old Toronto address. The building manager forwarded it months later, creased from the redirect. It said, "I think about you every day. I hope you're okay. I hope you know you don't have to carry this alone." I read it twice, set it on the counter, left it there a few days. Then I moved it to the recycling bin. Gently, the way you put down something that used to mean everything. She'd had the chance to make sure I wasn't carrying it alone. She'd had that chance when I needed it. That moment is gone. Not because I'm punishing her, but because trust, once you've understood what it actually costs, can't be extended on credit indefinitely. I think about my best friend sometimes. Not often. I think about the 11-year-old version of him. The one I played hockey with. The one who called me when his parents split up in grade 8 and cried on the phone, and I was just there, quiet, because that was enough. I grieve that person, genuinely. I grieve the friendship I thought I had. The 20-year history. I thought meant something more than it did. But I've learned that history isn't a debt. Time spent with someone doesn't protect them from consequences. When they blow up everything you built together. Knowing someone for 20 years doesn't earn them another 20. The account doesn't carry a balance that large. I'm 33 now. I have a job I'm good at. I have a city I chose instead of inherited. I have a woman I'm learning slowly, one honest conversation at a time. I have Sunday mornings on the water. And a run club, and light that comes in low off the mountains in winter, and makes everything look like something you'd want to stay in. Some mornings I sit at the window with my coffee, and I wait to feel the thing people told me I'd eventually feel. Regret, guilt. The nagging sense that I got this wrong. It hasn't come. I don't think it's coming. And I've stopped waiting for it.